今は、ノードソースっていうところで働いています。で、ノードソースっていうのは Node.js の、コンサルティングをしてくれる会社ですね。こういうその、パフォーマンスチューニングだったりとか、あとなんか問題が起きてるからあるんですよ、たまに。ソースコード上のどっかにメモリーリークがあったりとか、ソースコード上のどっかに欠陥があるんだけど、見つからないみたいなことがある。そういう時に、ノードソースにコンサルタントしてくださいっていうのをお願いすると解決してくれるんですよ。しかもすっごい低レイヤーが解決してくれるんで、何かあった時には頼むといいかもしれないですけど、あんまり頼んでるなんだ、日本人だから頼んでるんじゃないですか。そうですね。この多分リークハンティングの話聞けば、もう少し分かるようになるかもしれないです。じゃあ、OK。Let's turn to your speak。じゃあ、拍手で。
Hello. Konnichiwa. I'm sorry, that's all the Japanese I know. Thank you very much for having me. I'm from Colombia, so pretty long flight, 27 hours, but it's worth it. Let's talk about memory leaks. Who knows what is a memory leak? What is? Okay, very much. Okay, that makes me worried because that means that you all have been dealing with memory leaks, and that's not good. So I'm excited about this talk because I really want people to understand what is a memory leak and why to care about a memory leak. So let's start with this one. Is developers and companies doesn't consider how difficult it is to fix or maybe how to deal with a memory leak until it happens a day before the release date. Yeah. Okay, you are laughing, so it happened to you. Or maybe after a cool feature just push, but who will imagine that the new cool feature just introduce a memory leak? Or maybe this one. Yes, on Friday, everybody's going home, and guess what? There's a memory leak. Pretty cool, huh? But most of the time, it's just this happens a lot when the server or the environment or Node application is just getting more requests than the ones you are supposed to have or supposed to get in first place. So let's just get a quick introduction to memory in Node.js. Why you should learn about memory? Because it's faster if you learn today than the day that you find out that you have a memory leak, right? Because if you have the time for, if you already know about how is the memory in Node.js, then you don't have to figure out in the same day. So you can spend more time just fixing the issue. That is what is important. So I really like this event because most of the things here on my slides I already explained by oral talks. Thank you very much. And for example, about garbage collection, so every system that just deals with memory have this kind of garbage collection. We will focus more on how the garbage collection works on Node.js. And Node.js uses V8, and V8 has this scheme that is pretty close to Java virtual memory. And they have this, think about memory like a graph. It's a tree graph. And we have this node on top. Think about this one like the window object or the global on an npm module. You don't control how this is garbage collected because it's the root node. So the VA just decides when he collected. Then we have the objects. These objects, they contain primitives. And the primitives are strings, numbers, booleans, and all the stuff. So what is collected by the garbage collector. Well, the ones that are not connected to the root object, or the window, or the global in the NPM module. And this is the system that I was talking about. So what you have here is just the resident set. This is like the system that V8 uses. Here is the code segment. This is the piece where all the code is being executed. Then we have the stack. The stack is all the values that reference things in the heap. And this is the heap, where all the functions and closures and all the stuff is there. And we have, inside the heap, we have this object with more information about all of the memory of the process. For example, the RSS is resident set size, it's all the size of the memory, and the heap total and heap usage is the V8 memory usage, and external is just the C++ bindings from the C++ functions binding JavaScript functions. So what is the relation between a memory leak and the garbage collection? Well, the relation is just that the garbage collection it can collect all the objects that are living in your application right now. So they start to leave because they cannot be referenced anymore, and they just leave all the time. What could cause? What is the cause? For example, for a memory leak, well, the most common cases for memory leaks are when you have, for example, an event, but you don't close the connection. How many of you close after an error, a request? Please show your hand. If not, you're turning on. Okay, well, that's one of the memory causes for memory leaks, when you just don't close connections, or you have a process for doing certain operations inside loops or something like that. So you're just having an error, but you're not closing the entire process, the entire thing. You're not getting close. And for example, when you have something here and it's closing like way down when it is not supposed to close, so that can be lead to a memory leak. But this is not the only issue that you find or you can get in a production system. We are just going to focus on memory leaks, but I'm going to mention the other two that you can find, so you don't mix them or confuse them. Runtime performance. This one is pretty interesting, because what this really means for a customer is just that the website is slow, or it's not, the answer of the response is not as fast as it should. And what you should really be questioning yourself here is just how to get stack traces from the running process, and how to get them without affecting the execution. Things that you can do when runtime a process, performance issues. This one, let me see. It doesn't work for some reason. Okay, the first one is pretty interesting because it outputs a map file that you can use with a visualization tool. For example, 0x phone graphs. It's pretty interesting because you can use it and visualize all the the traces and all the stuff that is related to memory. Tools like perf events is very safe. Something that you have to take in account every time you run a tool is that it's safe production, because if it could be a really great tool that it can affect the performance of the application in production. So sometimes when you trigger a CPU profile or a heap snapshot and all the stuff, that can increase some of the performance issues in your application. So you can use anything you found on the internet. That applies to many things. And just to make sure that you are checking the right traces your application. Just focus on the problem. Don't look for everything. Just make sure you are looking for the right thing. Then we have runtime crashes, and the important thing here is just to make sure that uptime is critical. You really need to make your application working again and resume the process as soon as possible. And the important thing about this one is that usually you can reproduce what is happening in production on your test environment. So this one are probably the most difficult to figure out. A few things that you can do on these type of scenarios is just use this option on your Node application. So you can get, for example, a generated core file for post-mortem analysis. This one is pretty cool. And system tooling is always great. And memory leaks, and that will be our focus today. So let's do it. Okay. With this example, it's going to be like just trying to understand how to identify a simple or just the first startup of a memory leak. It's not going to cover all the cases because all the cases are different, and there's a really big range of possibilities for a memory leak. My screen, please. You can read, or should I make it bigger?
Can you make it bigger?
Better? Yes?
Bigger.
You.
Fine? Or bigger? Bigger? Don't need to stop, please. Okay, I'm going to show you. This is the application. It's pretty simple. As you can see, I mean, never try this one. Don't try to do this on your application because it's not the ideal thing. I mean, what is happening here is you are getting requests and you are trying to store every log for the request inside an array. Who wants to do that? Don't do it. But for the purpose of this exercise, we're going to do it. But please don't do it. Please. Please. I've seen companies doing that, so please don't do it. We're going to. Okay, we're going to use Google DevTools just to make sure that everybody has the same tools and all this stuff. We're going to, as you can see, I just installed the application, and we're going to get a memory snapshot. Because you can see the memory is just 7.8 megabytes. I mean, it's pretty fine. There's nothing happening. Do you hear me? Yes. Yes. Okay. Now we are just to increase the traffic for the application. Thank you. So what we're doing now is just increasing the traffic for the application, so it's getting more requests every time. the ideal thing here is just to take a provide a memory snapshot every 5 minutes or something, but we don't have that time. I mean, if I do this, it's like all the time for this talk is going to be taking memory snapshots, so I'm just to feel a few things. Don't do this, please. Okay. This is a good talk. For our next talk is how many bad practices are just made in this talk. Okay, as you can see, it's 24 megabytes of memory being used now. It's very interesting. Why? What is taking all the memory? And as you can see here, is this one is pretty interesting because it's date. It is taking a lot. And something I recommend with the different tools on the dev tools is just to compare which objects are present in the newest memory snapshot in comparison with the old one. So you can just check. You can see that the date object or the date objects are taking just most of the memory in the application. But that's not the issue. I mean, that's fine. I mean, at this point, nothing is happening. So what is the issue here? So when I stop the traffic, you can see here, the application is going to start recovering. And that's expected. This is fine. I mean, this like is nothing wrong. But what is wrong here is that if I delete this and I compare, you can see the date objects were not garbage collected. And this is memory leak. That's how you identify a memory leak. You see that just the traffic is stopped. So why those objects were not garbage collected? What happened? I don't know. No, I mean, I know why. The thing is, this should not be happening. This can be happening to you on production. And this is the big issue. This is what is a memory leak. Things are not getting collected when it's supposed to be collected. And this is something that you have to be really, really patient, because, I mean, as you can see, how many requests do we have? Like, I know, I think 1,000, no, like 10,000. I think that's nothing. That's nothing but for a production system. That's like the 1% or less, something like that. So imagine how could that increase, for example, in a production system. I'm pretty sure that I have seen systems just taking like a gigabyte or 5 gigabytes of memory. You don't want that. You really don't want that. This one. So, what you saw is something I really recommend, for example, for these things, is this is something I have been trying to do, is how to investigate this issue. It's just think about what could be producing the issue, collect data, analyze the data, that's obvious, and draw conclusion. I try to follow this strategy that is based on scientific. It's different from thinking memory leaks is more about doing stuff in a correct way, just checking all the possible cases and just trying to analyze the data. It's more about the experience and how you use the correct tooling for the things that you want to do. What we just did was just taking memory snapshots using Untitled tools. We were just doing that, and what was happening is just the the application is already at 7 megabytes, that's fine. The issue is when it receives more requests than it should. The positive, okay, I forgot to show you. The solution for this one, as you can see, is in this. The solution is just trying to move the operation of storing all the logs inside an array, because that's crazy. Who wants to do that? Just to a local file. But it doesn't mean that the memory leak is gone. It doesn't mean that. Then what it means is that we are just trying to fix out a small part of the memory leak. If I try to, for example, run this one, if I do this, may do some endurance testing, you will see here. And if I start the traffic, you will see that date is not, it's being garbage collected correctly. You can see there's no more objects. Oh, it's pretty much nothing compared to the previous steps. So we're not fixing the complete leak. We are just focusing on the part of the problem, just to make sure that we are doing the right way, or doing the things that we are supposed to do. So now it's about recommendations. So do something before it happens. What I recommend is endurance testing. Endurance testing is just everything you need, because it really makes sure that you're, for example, trying to push your application to the limit for the mass expectation of users, and make sure that you are you have something to really ensure that your application is going to behave as expected on the maximum usage. Something that, why would you do endurance testing? Well, because it's helpful for discovering memory leaks. That's the idea with endurance testing. Most of the developers and companies don't do that once they got in trouble with memory leaks. So please do it before it happens. And if it's happening, you're probably going to find a new one. So it's interesting. Something I recommend is this is your friend. It's going to help you a lot too with the endurance testing. Please try and give it a check. It's pretty cool. I really recommend it. And we have something in Node.js that is solid. It's the same for monitoring and taking a snapshot. It's really production friendly, so you can use it on production systems. This is something I have been recommended before, is name your functions, because when you try to check the traces on the stuff, you usually don't see the name of the function. This changed in the latest version of VA, so you probably don't need to do this anymore. For example, in this one, all of these examples doesn't have a name, but for some reason, in the latest version of VA, they just made something that it has a name now, so you can easily follow up. But probably if you're using a older version, you probably need to name it. What about our functions? They are still not be able to be named, because the name says that. So something I recommend, unlock on import and output, and do that. It's probably one of the worst cases. This is I/O correction. It's just expensive. It's really expensive. Don't if you receive something, just do something with the result. Don't try to make Node.js wait for something else. If you're getting something, just do the process or do something. Just don't make Node.js wait too longer for something. blocking the model. This is something that usually people don't think is possible or is not going to happen, but it happens most of the time. So don't think you're deception. Just make sure you are doing things right and try to do something just to avoid it. Succeed in high operations, we really recommend a SIEM for almost everything. I'm not sure, some people use observables for a few things, but we really recommend a SIEM. Really, we really recommend it. So please use it. It's getting better and better and better. So please use it. Please. Why use it? By using a SIEM, well, we have better work scheduling. It's more friendly with CPU. It's way better. Just use it. Trust me. It's something I saw this in her talk, and for me it was pretty interesting because people just try when you have this kind of performance or memory issues, they just change things like, okay, we are going to change this and see what happens. That's the worst practice. I mean, that's the worst practice of the practice I have done here. That's the worst. Don't do it. Just try to measure everything you do before doing any change. Because if you don't see, you don't know the first state, how you know that what you changed got better? What if you change something and it got worse? You really have to measure things first. Please do it. And what we can learn from all this. So please try to learn more about memory. Don't do it on Friday night, please. Thank you very much.
すごい面白い発表でした。なんかその GC というかメモリーリークを特定するときにこんなたくさんやり方があるんだなっていうのはちょっと初めて知ったかもしれないです。で、これから、15分から、30分まで休憩です。で